Hello and welcome to Sensibly Loud Radio Interview Edition. My name is Brandon, and I'm joined by, of course, my lovely co-host over there, MtnKarl.
Hi.
The lies you tell yourselves.
Yeah,
Lovely.
And today we have the distinct honor of being joined by the most creative, badass women who are otherwise known as Team Unicorn on the hit series on Fox called Lego Masters. Please welcome Amie Dansby and Krystle Starr.
Hey,
Team
yay!
Unicorn.
Who's that little bundle of joy over there?
The Wookiee in the corner is
Oh.
Amy's baby bear.
Oh, Indy.
I guess he's more baby pig.
Hopefully, he doesn't knock the camera over. Indy, what are you doing?
This is good radio.
Indy,
Just calling it.
be like, what happened to the scene?
What breed is Indy?
He's an English bulldog.
There is no question.
No
Yeah.
question. I was
He's like a meat. He's like a meatball sub.
I'm asking because there are people who will listen to this and not watch it, and there is no question in the world that dog is an English bulldog.
If you hear snoring, just know it's not Krystle.
So how did you, that's a good question. So how did you come across the majestic creature over there that is Indy?
He's licking the camera
He
stand.
is.
What are you doing? The schnozberry seems like a schnozberry.
Yeah.
Indy.
It probably smells like Justin's cat.
He's
The
normal.
source of
usually.
and solution to all of our technical difficulties.
He's usually normal.
That's
lie.
yeah. That sounds like a complete lie.
So his name's from Indiana Jones because I wanted to have a dog named Indy, and my dog's name, I don't know, it was just
And when he's bad, we call him
Dr. Jones.
Dr. Jones.
And he's staring at me now because I made the patented Indy sound earlier.
He's a friend for life.
Yeah.
He scratched his butt, so.
Yeah,
That's right,
I did
that's
scratch.
right.
I did scratch his
He's
butt.
excited. He's
Yeah.
happy to have people.
Krystle, what about you? What about your
My
pup?
baby bear is Mr. Stan Lee. Stan the Palm Lee. And he's a Palm. And I don't think there could be a more perfect dog for me, honestly.
And his name's Stanley.
He's just my baby.
What's
Little
his name
bundle
when
of
he's in
joy.
trouble?
It's still Stanley.
Yeah.
Stanley. He's never in trouble. He's perfect.
We have a black lab, and
His name
he's
Vader.
no, that would have been a good one. We were almost gonna name him Yoshi,
Helmet?
and then
Oh.
Yeah.
that was like a real. I don't know if we can't like walk around and call him going like beep, meow, that kind of thing. So we did call him Milo, and it's a very generic name, but it was actually named after one of our favorite dive bars.
Oh, nice.
So
I had a black lab and I wanted to name her Foo Foo, and I was really young, and my dad said he couldn't be like, if he said had a dream, and if he was like out in the neighborhood yelling Foo 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 and this like giant black lab came up, he just said no. So we named her Princess Foo Foo and called her Princess.
even better.
So I have a friend that, I can't believe this story's gonna be funny, but I have a friend that's, their dog's name is Gotham. And he said he just wanted to name him that, so in the middle of the night, if the dog needed to go outside, he'd be like, I have to get up. Gotham needs me. And I'm like, oh, that's like,
Oh my god,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
That okay. I have an idea for the next dog I
Yeah.
get. That's going to be a great
Gotham
name.
needs me.
Gotham needs me.
That's awesome.
So a little bit of history. Amie and I have known each other since I guess the preteen years. Way back when we met at church.
When I was still awkward.
Yeah, we were still awkward, and we were both still awkward and didn't know what was going on. We just know we wanted to be out of our parents' house. But I remember my first impression going over to your dad's house for like a youth hangout or something like that. And you were like, okay, yeah, this is my room and whatever. And I'm just like, no, not whatever. You got a Martin Brodeur poster on your
yeah,
wall.
yeah, I
New
did.
Jersey Devils. And I was like, okay, this girl likes hockey. Badass.
I played hockey.
And then
yeah,
I found
yeah.
out you played hockey. And I was like, who is this girl? She's awesome. Yeah.
I'll go look back. I'm like, why did my dad let me play hockey? I was thinking like, because there were no girls. We were it was the only girl on the high school team, and yeah, I still got hit
so
a lot.
you're the enforcer.
No, I was defense though, which is funny. No, they didn't treat you any different. You still got hit.
Did you get any fights at all, or?
I got in one, I think. Like, it wasn't towards like the end, like maybe my like senior year. I just know because my dad would hang out with all the mom in the stands, and he said he turned around. Next thing you know, I was like sitting on top of someone, hitting him in the face. But he had like hit me from behind into the boards, and I don't know, it hurt, and it was definitely a dirty move. So I was like, meh.
Prison rules.
Yeah, prison rules,
Yeah,
right?
that's
yeah.
what you want.
Yeah.
High school prison rules.
Yeah, high school prison rules. Yes.
From the homeschooled kid.
Yeah, well, it seemed like things got busy after, everybody went to high school and then graduated, move off, and now suddenly we magically turned into adults, and it's like, what is
Speak
this?
for
Now we have
yourself.
Adult.
Yeah,
Do you see our like? You know, we were just on the Lego show, right? So
I think we're in denial at this stage, right? It's
Yeah.
just we're in denial that
Age is
we have
just
to
a
pay
number.
bills, and yeah, it's a bummer. It's a bummer for sure.
I'm like, I'm on an engineer's salary and have a Lego problem.
But yeah, so you were homeschooled, Amie, and then you unfortunately lost your mother to breast cancer. At what age?
I was 16.
16.
So, and that's actually like Krystle. Actually, her mom died of breast cancer,
Right.
as well. And you're 17.
I think I was like, I
18.
just turned 18.
You were in,
So
like,
it was like the
senior
week
year.
after my like 18th birthday.
Yeah.
And I just
Weird.
found it
Mine was like the week
interesting.
before my birthday too.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we have lots of strange
So-
things in common.
The similarities definitely don't in there.
Yeah, like my mom's birthday was December 13th. Amy's birthday is December 14th. So they're both
Sagittarius.
Sagittarius. Her dad and I are both Leos.
Oh.
And I was like, that's so weird. Like it's just like we call it, it's like a
Yeah.
parallel
Well,
universe.
tell them like when we met.
Okay, so when we first met, we met on the internet.
Like any normal people.
Yeah,
That sounds
and
pretty shady to me.
well, it was so a buddy of ours, Alan, who's really big into the Lego community as well, messaged us, and he messaged me first, or I don't know who, but he messaged me and he was like, "Do you know Amie D?" And I was like, "Who?" He was like, "Oh my God, she does," and like sent me this picture of her Lego
my
costume
Lego
for
armor.
Dragon Con, and he was like, "She does Dragon Con like you. She does cosplay like you. She's obsessed with Lego like you." And I was like, "Ew," and then he was like, "And she's in Dallas."
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "What?" So I looked her up, and then we like met randomly at my buddy's house with our friend Sarah, and I asked for her number because she took a picture of me, and she was like, "I don't give out my number," and I was like, "Okay."
security and data privacy. I'm like skeptic.
Which is
Yeah.
hilarious now that I know her.
Yeah.
And we like for like a second we met there, and I was like, "You should come to this the Christmas party that I'm having," and she came. I opened the door. We are wearing the exact same outfit.
Unplanned.
And it's not like a pink shirt and some jeans outfit.
Right.
The outfit is of Santa Claus
riding a unicorn
in space with galaxy
Yeah.
pants.
Yeah. Like
Wow.
that's if the universe isn't like if I didn't believe the universe existed, then like it definitely existed at that point. I'm like, this is weird. And then she's like, "Hi, come to my Lego room."
I literally was like, "Yo, let me show you my vault." And we went in there, dumped out like a giant tub of loose brick, and we started making brick angels.
Oh, that hurt.
It did hurt. But
it was
the
worth
rest
it.
of the party just kind of like melted off in the background, and we were there for
It's
like
seriously like the little kids that
hours.
just go off like and you're like, "Oh." Yeah.
I think we put on Return of the Jedi on my VHS player in my
Oh,
because in the
on the little
vault.
thing, 'cause it was on the floor like
Yeah,
yeah.
I have my old TV from my old bedroom, and I only have 3 VHS in the house, which are the original trilogy. And so we just we watched the entire movie, and then we were like, "Oh, we should go like host a party in the other room."
No, it was cool because like I like Lego has always been a part of my life, and maybe like what do we say? It was like a closet obsession. So like when people are like, "Oh yeah, I have this friend that likes Lego," and they go over and it's like their kid, you're like, "Oh sweet, we got the same hobbies." So it's kind of rare to find like someone else that likes something as much as you, and let alone someone that lives where you live and is like
A parallel universe
Yeah.
of you, which is crazy. We
Yeah.
were literally driving in the car just recently after the show or filmed, and I don't know how we got on the topic of Barney, but somehow
Oh.
Barney came up.
we're gonna admit this on.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
this
no.
story's
Oh, no.
bananas.
It's okay. We can edit it out, right?
No.
Duh, you can ask my dad for these pictures. This will be.
Yeah,
Just so you know,
so-
Barney's doing some really great stuff now.
Is
Yeah,
Barney's
we'll use
still
we'll use these
around?
pictures to promote
seriously?
our episode. That's
Okay.
that's
Oh,
a
like,
good idea.
what?
I was like, Barney's still around.
He is apparently a sex therapist. So
Stop.
Wow.
Okay, that's okay. So there are multiple Barneys. Let's.
But they filmed it in Las Colinas, right?
Yes, they
Yes,
did.
they did.
There's multiple Barneys, and hilarious story which I can't say on this podcast.
You can.
But
This is unrated.
long story short,
Lego will not approve.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, forgot about
I met the Barney later. He's what is his name? He voices the Dragon Ball Z stuff as well. He's gonna kick my booty. Okay.
You're the worst with names.
Just cut all
Just
that
call him
out.
Barney.
But anyways, so we were driving in the car when we were talking about Barney somehow, And she was like, oh yeah, I was actually like on Barney when I was a kid. I was like, shut the front door.
I tap dance on the Barney Christmas episode. It was so embarrassing.
Oh,
I like
wow.
that's something I would never admit. And then she's like, "Are you saying this to make me feel better?" She's like, "I was on the Barney show." I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, so I was on an episode of Barney as
I was
well.
like, let's never admit
Wow.
this.
And-
And look where we are.
Wait,
I was not.
I was like, wait,
It would explain everything. It would explain so much,
It
Carl.
would. It would though.
Right, Justin?
actually.
Yeah.
I knew I saw you on the back row.
Yeah, exactly. Hiding. No, so
but just so many parallels, like, and it's insane. Like, even today, y'all came over and we were looking at Amy's comic collection, which
Yeah.
I've actually never looked at her comic collection in her house, but we just literally named off like 3 titles that were also in my.
I can't
pull
believe
from
that
those
you've
days.
read Lumberjanes. Like I love,
most of them.
Most people, I've read
Like-
all of them, and I don't know anyone else that has read those. So,
You're like even rocking, like, kind of look like it right now, a little bit.
oh yeah, that's actually yeah. I love
No,
that artist.
So yeah, we just talked about. Well, we can't name all the titles because we're doing the podcast
Sure,
for Lego, but
right.
there's
Yeah.
a lot of titles that we had in common, and I was just like, what? Like,
Yeah, and these
so
are like obscure titles. This isn't
Yeah,
like
that's-
Spider-Man
it's
or
not
whatever.
Marvel or DC. No, they're like Image and Boom
Right,
Studios, and so you're just kind of like, what? So the more we hang out, the more like it just keeps getting weirder, but awesomer, because that's a word.
Awesome. It can't, yeah, it
That
can't
is
be.
correct.
It is. That is correct.
That applies
That is
here.
correct.
Krystle, you've actually got a comic book yourself.
I do, and we just finished writing book 2, so I'm really excited about that. So Ninja Knockouts, and Amie was like one of my only female friends who backed my Kickstarter before we started like really hanging out, and that was like a big sign to me. I was like, man, this girl.
And it's
like,
actually pretty good. Like no, like
Are you just saying that because you're in issue 2?
I know, but I like the
It
way
must be.
it must be true. I am obligated to say that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I had to write Amie in issue 2, and I actually wound up writing Richard and Flynn
Oh
in
my god,
as well.
They're on the show. They're
Awesome.
the married couple.
Oh,
from-
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
and
And
It's so
I'm not
good.
going to ruin the comic book right now, but their part is freaking hilarious.
So-
It's so funny.
So Flynn and Richard, they're on Lego Masters with us. They're phenomenal builders, storytellers, and they've been married for 10 years.
Hopeless romantic.
Oh yeah, they met in a punk bar.
Oh my
which
gosh.
so I don't know if you
See, I
watched.
was gonna guess
Yeah.
that
Have you
because he's
watched?
got tattoos on his arms,
and
and
but
they
met
kind of
like
look
20 years
punkish.
ago.
Yeah, they met like
Didn't
20
date
years ago.
for a while. Like
And-
dated and then stopped and then. Yeah.
And Richard had a mohawk, and
We love you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Richard.
Richard, yeah, that's what we call it. So it's a really. I don't know what's the point. Oh, they're in the comic. That's what I was gonna say.
They're in the comic.
I'm like
Yeah,
that.
we shared their love story in the comic because I felt like I had to. But yeah, I used to work at a comic shop, and I actually only worked at the comic shop to get the discount. And they asked me like 10 times, and Jen kept asking me, and I was like, I don't want to work at a comic book shop, bro. I don't have time for that. And she was like, what if you just came for 3 hours on Wednesday, 3 hours a week? It's a
of the
45% off anything in the store. I was like, done. Because
Yeah.
I would spend like 2 hours on Wednesday.
I would do the same
anyways.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
do that for Lego.
I have to wait a year, but it's coming if I can. Think of the discount, Jen.
Yes.
Tony, that's reminding me of the producers. Tony. That's what it reminds me of.
Women empowerment obviously is a huge part of the comic book, and
Yeah,
obviously
yes, actually.
we love the idea of getting more women into STEM, right? And I know that's a big
Do you
big
know what
thing.
STEM is?
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah.
Will
Science,
did not know that.
technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell us how that kind of started. So you got this scholarship through the
I'm a girl.
National Video
I'm
Game
a girl.
Museum, but you got this kind of going. You kind of
Yeah. So when I was in college, like, I remember I wanted to major like in computer science and simulation, and my dad is an accountant, so I literally made an Excel spreadsheet and I broke down what I could do with a computer science degree. So I was trying to speak his language to like convince him, like, hey, I've thought about like what I want to major in, and he's like, okay. So he gave me a chance, and I got scholarships for being like a girl in technology. I was always the only girl in any of my classes, and then my dad always told me when it comes to money, like you should save some, spend some, invest some, and give some. And then
Wise words.
Yes.
yeah, it's
Absolutely.
good. Like it's good advice. And so when I done a lot of stuff with the National Video Game Museum. They're here in Frisco, and it started by 3 guys and their families, and they put a lot into it. It's amazing if you've never been. It's
the bee's knees.
It is an interactive. You can touch and play with anything. It's not
Everything.
like a museum that you just like read. And
Bring your kids.
They've been so supportive, just as general of like me and my work. And I was like, I guess this is the 3rd year. So the first year they were doing the scholarship program, and I was like, hey, I want to start my own. So they let me, I fully fund it, and they support it. And it's crazy. Like the city of Frisco, this last year, they flew in the girl and the family that they won, and they give them the scholarship award. But
Awesome.
it doesn't
Awesome.
It doesn't feel like it's a lot of money, but my dad's like, that's how it starts. And I guess I put enough in there for 5 years.
It totally is. It's enough to change someone's entire career path and life, honestly.
And that's it seems weird in some way, but like, I guess I had a scholarship, right? And it wasn't that much. So that's how it goes. It's like, you hope that you can impact someone's life enough.
Any little bit helps, and obviously it's for a good cause.
And college is expensive.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that you can like leave a lasting impression on, young girls as well as boys that are growing up that have, this drive that they want to learn more or have some sort of support to continue sort of that passion, and, continue their scholastic education. But you're not the only one helping younger kids. Tell us about Comic Club.
So, Comic Club, I started, I guess, weirdly similar timing, about 3 or 4 years ago at My Possibilities. I was teaching full time there, and My Possibilities is a school for adults with special needs. And I love special needs. Like, I've got family members with special needs, and I've been volunteering at what used to be called ARC. I think they still have the name, but the acronym stand for something totally different now. But I've been volunteering there with my father, actually, Mr. Mom. We used to go to all of the dances there, even in when I was in high school. And a lot of my friends started using drugs, and I went to my dad and I was like, I don't want to do drugs. Like, please hang out with me on the weekends. And so he did. We did these. We went bowling with the art community every Saturday morning. That way, I couldn't go out party on Friday nights because my booty had to be up at and driving at 7 a.m. And we went to some of these dances, and they were so sad. They just didn't give them healthy food, healthy snacks. There was no decoration. It just seemed so empty.
Like a babysitting.
It was just kind of just exactly. And I was just really. It hurt on a level. So my dad and I went, and we made sure to attend every party, and my dad and I would go and literally buy, I love balloons for this reason, I think, would massive amounts of balloons, and we would buy them food. Yeah. That's
I told you. She got me. That's from my birthday in December. So it's been 2.5 months. I was like, how is it still floating?
You guys haven't been very busy though. So, I mean,
right.
Super busy.
The balloon is still floating. Thank goodness something is.
Yeah, exactly.
But long story short, we just made the parties much better and more fun.
What about the comic book
stuff? And we started the comic book club at My Possibilities because
awesome.
I worked at the comic book shop, and every Wednesday, or once a month, we would have an outing where the comic book shop that I used to work at would open up way early, and we would have donuts and special guests. We had a lot of guys from Comic Book Men come.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And because of my time doing cosplay and the convention scenes, I knew a lot of celebrities that were, if they were in town for a Comic-Con, I'd be like, yo, can you book an extra day and come hang out with my students on Monday?
And they would.
That's awesome.
And so
you just have to ask, what's the worst they're going to say is
no.
no. So
exactly.
So,
and so through the years, Comic Club became wildly successful. We got on multiple news outlets, media, and I started art galleries that had nothing but cool comic book related material. And
they did stop motion stuff too, right?
Yeah, we did stop motion, which I love.
They would do it, right? All
the
students would do it.
Yeah. It was. They were so awesome, and I had them voice over everything. And we met Mr. Stanley himself. We did a bunch of stuff with his group, and it was just the coolest thing ever. And when I left,
it's very rewarding.
So rewarding, insanely rewarding.
It's got to be.
But we did this program throughout the years, finding meeting your goal. Like what is your dream goal? And they were listing off all of their goals that we had met over the year. And they looked at me and they're like, what's your goal? And I was like, well, I want to work on movies. Well, why aren't you doing your goal? Well, I don't know. And so I literally like 2 months later, I actually left my possibilities and started working on film. And I do a lot of well, I did mocap before then, but I do visual effects like with movie productions. I work with Captured Dimensions for a long time.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we did a lot of the special effects for movies like The Joker. I think they did just a long list of stuff. Jack Ryan, Logan, a lot of stuff.
Everything we watch, basically.
Yep,
Yeah, cool stuff. And so it was really rewarding for me to do that. And when I left, Mr. Evan actually took over the comic club, and they still do
it, yeah.
And Amie and I actually started a thing when we were in Bricks, LA. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So since I guess a lot of my world is my background is engineering, so I do a lot of electronics. Like I kind of showed you the PCBs and stuff like that, and
printed circuit boards for those who do not know.
Printed circuit boards. So, sorry.
Got an engineer over here.
Yeah. That was actually funny on the show because Krystle will be like, all right, it's going to be like medium size. I'm like, all right, I need some parameters and some exact measurements, please.
Medium.
The engineer in me. But, and then Krystle was talking about, she's like, oh, do you think it would be possible, like, to have these adults with special needs learn how to do soldering? And I was
Tell
like,
me your first response.
like, I don't even remember what I said. Like, are they going to burn? Oh, okay. So here's the thing. So like,
what happened to you?
Besides burning myself. So like the way the solder iron is, like you hold it up at the top and it's heated like at the bottom. So you don't hold the metal part.
Right.
So if it smells like chicken, you're doing it wrong. Like that's I mean.
Wait, what did you say? You smell it before you feel it? Or?
Oh yeah, it's true. You smell like your
Right.
skin burning before you feel it because it's so hot. I mean, I've removed a piece of my tattoo on accident because you just touch your skin and it just,
So yeah, she was like very worried about
it is dangerous, but it's also like it doesn't mean that they can't do it. So we talked about, I was like, well, what if we made a solder board where like the pads that they have to solder are actually, bigger, like something that's like they're not in there doing like precise things like on an Xbox, like doing like a reflow and a stuff like that, like. And it can be as simple as like, hey, you literally have to connect the anode and the cathode to the battery and the LED, and I don't know, but it's not something that's like ever been done before, but it's a good combination of both of us. So we've designed like some printed circuit boards,
and we've talked to My Possibilities, and I brought it to their attention. And Michael Thomas works at My Possibilities. He's one of the heads up there, and I was like, when I first brought it to him, he was like, oh, and I was like, we've done culinary. They've got a culinary program with very like fire.
Yeah, fire.
Knives,
yeah, that's what. Yeah.
And all kinds of stuff. And when I worked in the art department, we did glass work and like a kiln was in there. Like so that like,
so what could go wrong?
No. Michael was like, dude, this is awesome. And I told him that Amie would design a board that's big enough and it would be a small amount of people, like students at first. And they're super excited. And we decided to start this thing called Special Deeds. So it's specialdeeds.com, special deeds for special needs. And when we were in Bricks, LA, we found these like really cool Star Wars slime kits, Jabba's Palace slime kits.
Oh yeah.
And we raised enough money for us to buy one for everyone in my class and ship it back to Dallas. And one for ourselves. Yes, I had to give mine away because we did not buy enough. And Amie was totally willing to give hers away too.
Those things are cool.
Those things are cool. This month we just got a shipment, and haven't even told you, but we got a shipment of enough Lego pieces for all of my students to have their own sets to take home. Wow. So that's a couple $100 that was donated this month. And we're hoping to get everybody the Lego Masters Lego set. It's not an official Lego Masters Lego set, but it's got the trophy. It's basically a Lego Masters Lego set.
That's awesome.
Unofficial Lego Masters.
But yeah, I think that both of us, I think that's another reason that we click so well is because we truly do want to help so many people. And on episode 1, there's so much going on that you couldn't see it, that they cut this out of the episode. But behind, while we were building
bananas,
I think we can talk about how you helped other teams.
Yeah, one of the amazing things about like this show is like the access to the bricks and just building in general. 15 hours is, I mean, how often do you get to like be like, hey, I'm going to make this crazy masterpiece and also help other people. So Krystle, and also the time does not stop for that. So Krystle and I had the little safety word, and she's like, I need help with these bananas. So
bananas means stop helping other teams and get your booty back there and build ours. I don't want to go home. Banana.
Did you know banana meant so many things? Which is funny, in the trailer, we were talking about it, and we were like, sharks and bananas.
That was something we were very curious about.
Yeah,
they didn't show it, but we built a whole banana stand. We put money in the banana stand.
Every single one of our builds has Lego bananas in it.
Yeah, we've got hidden bananas.
And it's always been like, instead of cussing, we'd be like, we're gonna engineer the bananas out of this. So like they do pick up on the bananas, and that's also like, hey, you're helping these people, come back over here, bananas. So the gears and the motors were in the first challenge. Everyone had to have a moving piece.
Right.
And Kara and Jess, the duck ladies, the ones with amazing facial expressions. We love them.
Oh.
Yes.
And amazing hair.
Oh my gosh, yes.
They're from
the
the
higher
Ozarks,
the hair, the
right?
closer to God.
Yeah.
I love that. That's like their team name. But so I was helping them with the gears and like kind of, helping explain, which that's like kind of my mindset. I love that. Like I love just
teaching.
Yes, I love the teaching and also the success and I know they didn't use this, but I was like, all right, so test it now before you start to build everything and before you have to do it at, I guess, the end of when we have to turn it in.
You don't want
the
to
judging. Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, I said there's a saying like you don't always test your code, but when you do, it's in production. I'm like, don't
Right.
be those people.
Don't be those people. Absolutely.
So, but it was really neat to like. I know it was very simple to them, but it was very rewarding, and it was also like it's exciting that they got it finished. And
I was like pulling her back by her
I know.
hair. I was like,
but
"Get your
but that's the
booty
thing.
over
It seems like the competitors that they chose, like everybody just seems so
Nice.
great
Oh,
and
yeah,
nice.
they were like, we need more.
Everybody seemed really
we need
nice.
more drama. Yeah, Lego is like such a community of like helping and caring, like
Yep.
like different techniques. Like I said, like this is 15 hours we're building. You don't get to do that every day, but then you're around other people that love this as much as you. So you're like genuinely just excited and geeking out, and you're like,
want to show your
yes,
techniques to them.
yes, and
Yeah.
you're like, this is a competition.
Yeah, you have to remind yourself because it's like
We
okay,
really did
Yeah.
multiple times, especially with this one, because she just wants to help so much.
Yeah.
Because she's used to the tech talks and like helping others and explaining it.
Yeah.
And,
I
you know,
really think that's how you learn, is by like sharing, even if you think your work sucks or the stuff that you think are failures, because they're not failures. Like nobody knows what they're doing from the beginning, and I think like people like perceive this like perfection thing on the outside, and I'm
my
like,
first comic book. Looking back, I was like, "That's terrible."
but that's the stuff people want to see. That's the human.
second
stuff.
one
We've
is
all
so
been
much
there,
better.
right?
Check out the
That's like-
second one.
Yeah, you have to have fundamentals so you can have the tools in the toolbox to use, and that if you teach other people the fundamentals by doing, they can do it forever.
Exactly.
So
But
that's
friends
Give a man a fish
bring you
or
to
teach him how to
the
fish.
next best things in life. Like that's always my motto, and it's like that's why we're all here, right? So yeah, I'm gonna cry, but but no, I mean it's got to be such a overwhelming sensation to be there, and it's kind of like okay, we've made it on the show, and then where everything's kind of like coming full circle, where you're like, okay, this is gonna be millions of people are gonna watch this potentially.
Well, we did not know. So
and tell them.
okay, so Krystle is like, she was talking. She's like, normal TV, no one's gonna watch that.
I literally like the only reason I like not the only, but the main reason I did it was because I was like, none of my friends have cable, so no one's gonna watch this.
Yeah.
And I was like, so it's going to be on after The Masked Singer, and The Masked Singer is the #1 show on TV right now, and they have 8 to 9 million people per thing. And she's like, don't tell me the numbers.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
was like
and-
freaking out
yeah.
because like that's
We had
scary.
a rule. We had a rule.
I wasn't allowed to tell her. I was like,
Ever.
I was like, we're gonna have Super Bowl commercials and all this stuff, and then
The Super Bowl.
That gets-
commercial.
that
Yeah,
one- the
absolutely.
anxiety.
freaked me
That's
out.
got to
we
be
had
surreal.
6
Yeah.
Super Bowl. I'm like, all right. As someone who doesn't even really watch football, I'm like,
I
yay,
didn't
he
even know
kicked
who's
the ball. Like,
but you know how
But
big
I
the
was
Super
watching
Bowl
Right,
y'all's
is.
right.
Instagrams.
So-
I remember yours. You were just like, "Oh, I wish I was interested in football, but this is so amazing. Everybody's sending all these things."
yes,
so
it seriously.
it's got to be overwhelming.
It was very surreal. And then also when we looked at like the first episode number, and then last week I think our show was #2 on TV. #1 was Grey's Anatomy, and that's been around forever. But I don't know. I don't even know if it's hit me, and I don't know if it will.
Well,
Actually, when we
something-
go to the Lego store and people recognize, they're like, "You have pictures with y'all?" We're like,
that is.
I'm like, "Oh no, I
That's
can't
gotta
come.
be
I gotta
so
come
cool.
here incognito now. I actually need to buy some stuff."
Right.
Yeah, no, and honestly, like we were like recognized at the Louis Vuitton store.
Wow.
Oh,
Like,
Wow.
she's like, they knew me at LV, and I'm like, "What's LV?"
I was like, I love you. I love you.
I'm not like that's not.
I bought.
We have some very different like worlds for that. So I'm like,
parallel. Like there's some things are vastly.
I'm like over there
different.
googling
the
LV.
yin
I'm like
and the yang.
looking, and I'm like, "What is LV? What is LV? What is LV?" I thought it was a person because you sent me a picture with a person, and I'm like, "Do I know this person? What is it?" And then I see in the background it was LV, and then I was like, "Oh."
Well, and we were at Bricks LA, and I bought this gorgeous Gucci bag made out of Lego.
You didn't
Wow.
bring that one?
And I didn't bring it with me, but all these women kept coming up to me during the show, and they're like, "Oh my god, that is gorgeous." And Amy was like, "What's so cool about that purse?"
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
she didn't.
everyone was like, I was like, I don't understand.
And I was like, I literally thought she was joking.
No.
And then she like, but then I saw that emptiness in the eye, and I was like, oh geez, Amy, I love you.
I'm like, I clearly spending my money on Lego stuff and
And
not on
circuit
birds.
boards.
Now, show her like a difference between like an Easton hockey stick or something. I mean, she could tell you what model
Right.
it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Be like, well, this. You pay attention pretty well though, because like, what were you saying like when you were trying to describe 3D printing stuff?
The pancake machine. I'm just kidding.
Oh my god, stop!
We did have a 3D printed pancake.
at
Really?
the, yeah,
Wow.
at our hotel for the
It
show.
was rad. I was
And-
like, Amy, cook for me, and she
Yeah.
went over there.
Yeah, and so by the way, I do not cook. I pride myself. I have not been to the grocery store in 5 years. But they
I'm
had this
kind of the
3D
same way.
Keep the
I
streak
cooked
alive.
for her.
Yeah. This is why I go to Krystle. Krystle cooks and make sure on set she would make me peanut butter and banana and honey. That was like,
Elvis
Gotta have
Presley.
banana, right?
Yeah, exactly.
always money in the banana stand.
I've got to know, Krystle. I'm dying to ask this question. What is a shark banana? I need to know what a shark banana is.
Okay, so it wasn't a shark banana. Sharks and bananas. We built on episode 1, one of our rides, our working
Land
mechanic
shark
ride,
ride.
was a land shark ride, and
Yeah.
they had bananas in his mouth from the banana
I love
stand. And it was, I think, the coolest. One of
We
the
got
coolest
the
parts.
first Arrested Development like banana stand joke.
We actually had Arrested Development jokes every episode, but they've cut them.
So great.
And then we saw Will make one last
Yes.
night. We're like, hey!
Yeah.
Not
that was
fair.
really good.
It's okay for him to do it. I
Yeah.
understand. But
He did. He's like, I used to do magic, and I'm like,
I was like,
Okay. Where was the banana hidden in Volcania?
inside.
they were inside.
It was
So
all
we
inside.
put them inside. We
Remember the
watched
slow-mo?
We watched the slow mo a couple times. It's really hard to see. But we put about probably like 5 to 10 bananas in the volcano.
volcano.
Actually, you got to say it right. It's
Oh, yeah.
Planet Volcania.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
do you tell him why? That's so.
Yeah.
In Star Trek, like all the Vulcans, this is like the Vulcan salute.
Right.
Can you do that?
Everybody hands up.
Yeah.
Stand by.
So, can you
Yep.
roll your tongue? So those are genetic traits, right? So, did you look? You learned something.
My lord.
So,
My lord.
You just went up this much more in talent.
Can you do it?
I can.
roll my tongue. Yep.
So I can't do that, right? So I can do this,
Which I find
which she thinks is hilarious. So, but I'm like, it's still kind of a V, and we're building this, and I'm like, oh my god, we could just have this Vulcan like volcano. So she's like, oh my god,
We
could
said
be-
it like at the same. It was
and we said it at the same
weird.
time, and we did this motion, and it was like.
Okay.
So we were like
that's
Planet
it.
Volcania, and it was like Will they had to stop. He was laughing. He's
Well,
like
they were laughing because we had a
Ridiculous
probably like
story.
a 2 to 3 minute storyline where we said it in weird voices, and we
was
had
so
this epic
nerdy
like
sci-fi.
drama about our build. It was all like really dedicated for our dads, and Will's face was just like
You guys are the nerdiest people I've ever met. It was like
he goes, that is the nerdiest thing I have ever seen, and I was like, yes.
Yep.
And there are plenty of
Achievement.
episodes left, so you got a lot more to prove, right?
Yeah.
I know less people left, so more time to dedicate on us running around. And
More nerds, please. Yeah.
we were laughing because like this past episode we were in cosplay, and
Which I was terrified to do.
we're also like Oh,
Why?
we're the only ones in cosplay.
Because we're the only ones in cosplay.
We're the only ones.
And then have you ever been to
y'all were the first ones to walk through that gate too.
Yeah. Have you ever been to a Halloween party and you the only one dressed up?
Yeah.
That's how it feels.
Okay, I get that.
But then it's
But
funny
it's every day,
because
right?
Mel,
Right.
Mel and Jermaine, Mel is a cop, so he's wearing his like police. He's like, I'm in uniform and cosplay every day on set, and I was like, oh, sorry, Mel.
They do let you kind of express yourself.
This is the like. Yeah, this was definitely a good episode for us, as besides the dragons. But
Well, even
The dragons were amazing.
yes,
Okay.
For the time that you guys had, I thought it was
Well, 'cause
really
we
impressive.
didn't really get to start building
Right.
the dragons. And
Right.
Spoiler
You
alert,
kind of had to like
dragons
start
are
from
not
scratch.
real.
Yeah.
At least we picked something that's like. So that was another thing. We picked something that doesn't actually exist. So then in our minds, we're both having
no
to.
internet.
Yeah, no, we had we had no. The elders of the internet did not know who we were.
Brickmaster Amie has photographic memory, and she knows what all dragons look like.
Oh yeah, that was we did notice.
That's true.
She's like dragons are notorious hard to do, and they have that face. I'm like, but dragons are these like mystical creatures, and
They're whatever we.
They're open to interpretation.
But also that's the thing. We picked. It's not we both picked like a giraffe, and her and I, Krystle and I, having to build this giraffe. We know what a giraffe looks like. We both picked creatures in our mind that dragons could be very different.
And
so,
and it wasn't like I built one, Amie built one. They wanted teamwork, and they were very, very open about how it needs to be a team build.
Right.
So Amie built the heads, and I built the block bodies.
no, we built Pink Panther. Dun, dun, dun.
I guess we did a little bit, but it was weird because they were so just like
This was
very
a sculpt.
separate.
This
but,
was
like,
a
coming
sculpting
together.
challenge. So like
Right.
that's the thing about.
And we are set collectors.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like sculpting is like what Flynn and Richard did with the clock, and Sam and Jessica did with the
Fire hydrant.
The fire hydrant and the
Mermaid.
that is
Yeah, that was impressive.
sculpting.
That is talent.
That is a very different way to use Lego. Like I've made a lot of costume stuff from Lego, but it's wearable. It's still
And
very
we have months to make.
yeah, you have
Right,
months, and I
right.
have the internet, and I have reference, and I have like I can try it, put it on, take it off, and
Sleep.
yeah, sleep.
Test
Sleep,
it out.
eat, bathroom, yeah, all the human things. So
And I think with the 2 hours and 45 minutes down, because if you watch it, we scrap it.
Yeah.
yeah, like literally
we
come
don't
back.
even keep a duck. All right, we take it all off. Because I was just like, I don't want to have anything that the Brickmasters don't like on here. I'm not going home in a freaking costume. No.
Like, how strict were their rules?
Pretty like.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like in terms of like builds, and because you kind of referenced it a little bit in terms of where everything needs to be a team effort. So it's not like, I mean, I saw that with some of the teams where, and you guys kind of did it too, where you're building over here and Amy's building over here.
Just
but-
positive judging criteria kind of thing. Where
Well, so like they really wanted story, technical ability, and
Color theory.
no, I don't remember.
That's why.
We are not the Brickmasters. Oh God, what are the things? Technical ability, storytelling, and creativity. I guess.
Okay.
We're going to go with that.
Yeah, we're gonna for 200.
I was on the show. I promise.
So let's talk about the show. So how did you get the casting audition? How did all this start?
So there were 11,000 people that auditioned.
Right. I
Wow.
believe that.
Yeah.
But the robots got on the show.
Dun dun. So in
We hacked the system.
oh
Yeah.
my God, I love you. That's the best.
So
Yes.
that's really not Amy's real arm,
I
right? That's
love
that
it.
she's totally robotic now.
That made my day.
Yeah.
Look at Grace's Sophie right now.
But no, so Amie this summer, last summer, was all over the internet, and because of the Tesla hack,
internet.
and
The
if you went to
Washington
her,
Post ran an article, right?
Yeah, the front page of the Verge.
everyone.
I was like,
TechCrunch.
I was like, Dad, I'm higher in the news than Tesla and Elon Musk combined today. He's like, enjoy the 5 minutes. I was like, I am. I was like on the
I'm
front.
bathing in it.
I was on the front page of The Verge, but also at the same time, it was like when The Rock, like their new movie came out, so it looks like we're fist bumping on the front page. I'm like, I'll take it. I was like, my inner nerd is so excited right now.
Don't mind if I do.
But I worked on this and like it went viral, and which is weird because I worked on that hack for like a year, so it just happened that like I don't know, the media picked it
Good
up.
timing.
Yeah, it's strange how like when stuff goes viral, how that happens.
The planets just align.
It's
We say that all the time.
Yeah, that's what it
Should've
is.
planted better.
Yeah. Like when y'all met, the planets just aligned, right?
Yeah, literally.
No, but
I'm
the
like Carl
universe,
and I.
the
Serious.
universe.
No,
No.
not so much.
Yeah, it was a pretty awkward meeting.
Mag-
We definitely didn't meet on the internet. Though,
We didn't
so
lock eyes
The
at all.
internet's safer than this.
Yeah.
That's what, it's funny when you're like parents. They say, "All right, don't talk to strangers. Don't do this. Don't get in cars with anyone." And now it's like literally call stranger to pick me up in car to take me to meet my friend from the internet.
Right. Don't worry.
Yep.
This blue shield on my app will save me.
Yeah.
So, you guys obviously can't go too in depth to the casting process, but
They reached out to Amie, I believe.
Yeah,
that
they
you
saw
could-
my
yeah.
Twitter profile picture was me in like Lego armor, and they're like, "Okay, we need
This girl's
They-
crazy.
And I had a bunch of I had a ton of emails. I had a ton of questions, like Twitter, everything. Was just going to like the purgatory inbox, and I didn't reply to them. And then she was sneaky. Someone from casting, she sent me an email on my Etsy account because she knew like you're supposed to respond. I can't.
Replond.
Respond.
That
Do you
is
wanna- or do
It's
you
where
wanna
you
say all that?
reply and respond at the same
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
Probably,
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't like say that, but anyways, that's how
They
got me.
reached out to Amie, and
They were-
because of all that,
And they were like, "Hey, do you have any like other weird Lego friends that you build with?" And I'm like, "I know this one other person that's weird like me."
Yeah.
And I was like,
She's all right.
We really didn't think that.
we did not take this seriously whatsoever.
And I think that's probably what made it like better. So first off, the show has not been in the U.S., so we had no idea.
I didn't even know
No
the show
reference.
existed.
We had no reference. We had no idea it was going to be a big show. I was like,
I had no idea it was like Fox. Like I didn't know anything.
yeah.
And Amie was the third person to ask me to be her partner on Lego Masters that week,
Wow.
Awesome.
which was very weird. I'm a big like rules of three. Like I believe in that a
Yep.
lot.
Dun, dun, dun.
And but yeah, so I had two of my guy friends ask me earlier that week, and I told them both the same thing. Like, bro, if you want to win, I'm a set collector. Like, you will
not be winning the
you
show.
will not be winning the show with me. And then Amie reached out and did not ask. She was
"Hey,
like, "I'm coming over to your house. We're doing a casting call."
yeah, they wanted to call. I was like, I was like, they're not going to pick us. I feel that in general, like Lego is
More family friendly.
yes, yeah. I guess that's like.
Polite.
And I feel like they found me through the Tesla stuff. I felt that was kind of a controversial thing in general for Lego and Fox. And we are both in the cosplay world as well. And so I felt that Lego almost would think that the general idea of like what is, brains and beauty and sexy and cosplay and characters and this women empowerment. I felt that's something that Lego maybe wouldn't necessarily take as very
serious
Yeah,
or
serious.
yeah.
And then when we got to the show and there's, Sam, he's the bearded farm boy princess. He's got
Love
beards and he
Sam.
wears dresses, and there's Flynn and Richard who, they are the gay married couple. And I was like, wow, Lego. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, consider me like impressed. And then Mel and Jermaine. So Mel is the cop and Jermaine is from the Bronx.
I died when they said
Those guys are awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
there.
great.
Yeah.
Jermaine is also a wine connoisseur. I'm sorry, Jermaine, I'm selling you
we're
out.
telling on you.
Yes, he's
Hey,
like
we like wine.
Oh.
Yeah,
We're like
we're
that.
big fans of wine at the show.
I just love that. He even sent me a thing. He's like, "Guess who just got a bottle of wine on the plane?" I was like, "I love you."
And he drinks it pinky up.
Yes, he does. Yes,
How else do you drink wine?
Right?
But-
Yeah.
True.
it's just funny. I love that everyone that you would normally like stereotype right away when you meet them was
completely different.
Oh, and it was amazing because we all shared this general love of Lego, and
we just became best friends.
and
Like the
since we were
entire cast. It was
The Mandalorian was going on when we were filming too, so it's nothing like having 15 adults in a hotel room watching The Mandalorian on Friday nights.
It sounds like it just fostered like a really, really positive community.
Lego summer
like
camp.
your family now.
Lego Master Summer Camp.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, and people are like, "Oh, do you guys like ever talk to the cast members still?" I'm like, "Bro, first off, we just like finished wrapping like a month ago. Like,
Right.
yeah, we
Yeah.
have a giant group text on Instagram that Amie started, so we literally talk like." We all talk during like breakfast, lunch, dinner. Like we literally talk throughout the day. Like we love each other because it's
You went
just
through this experience. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like even Jessica, she flew down to Dallas.
Yeah, I got to meet her. That was cool.
Yes.
I'm wearing a bow, Jess.
Just
It doesn't say
power of
anything,
the
does it?
bow.
That's awesome.
That's the epic
Right?
one. Players. I'm taking sponsorships now.
Hey, we see your store full of unicorns.
Yeah, all the unicorns.
And that's another crazy thing. Unicorns are like the hottest thing ever this season. Like you can't go anywhere without seeing it. I bought unicorn mac and cheese. Like, what?
Wow.
I know. I ruined my surprise for you tomorrow night.
We got to do a review on that stuff.
That would be good.
It's Kraft. It's
I
Kraft.
have-
Dude. It's amazing.
How
So
can
it's
I
good.
ever tell what Kraft tastes like? I've only had it 400 times as a kid.
Dude,
So
yeah, I
it's
mean,
still good.
But this one's full
Still
of
good.
magic.
Well, the trick is you get sausage and you put it in
Oh, there you
Oh
go.
my
to
There you
make
go.
it
Lord.
slightly more adult.
Can I get your macaroni and cheese Kraft recipe?
Yeah, there. Yep.
This
Does
is what I
it
cook
does
for
it
Amie.
use?
I know it's true. I'm like, Krystle, I'm hungry, and I leave one piece of candy in the pantry.
This one. I can't even. I know she's been there. There's a trail of like sugar, and I'll like I went to my Reese's Pieces box. She left one.
You told me you were trying not to eat candy, and I was trying to help you.
She left
did.
one. I was like, Amie, this is unacceptable.
That's mean
And
right
also,
there.
that's when
Yeah.
Jessica was
Yeah.
here in town. So like,
She
Jessica's.
blamed it on Jess. Jess was like, no.
She's like, it wasn't me.
I would have left you 5.
So what do we have to look forward to now that
Dude,
we've
so much.
I
We're only on
know
episode 3.
I know we're on
Future.
episode 3. It's so much fun.
Week
And
4 is. Do you know what week 4 is?
yeah, week 4 is the movie.
Oh.
That's right. Yeah.
Yay!
Pow pow.
And according to previews, it looked like you guys got mystery, I believe, or something of that nature. Yeah. So
Dun,
that
dun,
looks like it's going to
dun.
be really interesting.
Yeah, luckily we both were a huge fan of La Scooby Doo.
I was like, can we say Scooby Doo before? Yeah, Scooby Doo.
It's gonna be like dark film noir Scooby Doo with no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And didn't we get firsthand information in terms of who the special guests are going to be on that
I
episode?
was so excited about that.
That's right.
Chris, Lord, and Phil. Oh my God, what's Phil's last name?
Miller, I think.
Yeah.
Use-
Yeah.
use the
So
Google
the
internet.
directors of the Lego movie, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Oscar winning, yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's great.
and honestly, having them spend time with us and really talk to us about the builds and it's crazy because we learned so much on the show, but not just about Lego, like literally like in design in general.
Outside perspective.
Yeah.
Brickmaster Amie is she designs a lot of
Phenomenal.
the Friends Lego sets.
Right.
And the new dots. What's
Yes.
up?
Oh yeah, we get the new dot sets before everyone, and that's actually
Before everyone.
I know. Yeah, let's be honest.
Let's be humble.
Yes, we're excited.
We're super excited.
I know.
actually.
Crystal's like,
I was like, did you see the email? Look at the dots.
So have y'all talked to the other? I mean, do you think within 10 years or 20 years you'll do a reunion with everybody that you?
I think we'll
competed
do
with
that
on the
like
show?
3
10
times a
minutes.
year.
3 times a year. That'd be
Literally,
awesome.
we already have like
Invite them out for the barbecue.
Well, we're going to
talking
Bricks.
about
We're going to
barbecue.
Bricks Cascade in Portland in like 2 weeks, a week.
next week.
Literally on the 27th.
Are the bearded
Yeah.
builders gonna meet you?
Hell
Yes, we do. Yes.
Mark
Oh,
and
I
Boom.
love that.
We're building with bricks now.
Amazing. And Will Arnett
He-
is his pitch perfect self.
He does, like, Boone can definitely sing, and it's funny. Mark is a man of many words, as you could tell. So
We love you, Mark.
Yeah. How fun was Will on this set?
hilarious.
He stayed at our booth, or like our little like
Our
builds,
booth.
our booth. He stayed at our little area like so much. Like I feel like we
It-
like. we
I
talked to
also,
him
in
a
some way,
lot.
I'm like, all right, they're not stopping the clock when you come over here, Will.
So bye.
Yeah, so like,
Love you, bye.
so sometimes you can see me, and like, there's one when he like was narrating our build in episode 3, which was so epic. She had to like, she's like, look up because I'm over there and like,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, Will,
You're focused.
Okay,
like
Will.
at this point, we've been around you for a few weeks. You're just one of us. Please go away.
He like came up with a whole storyline. You know.
Oh no, it was
Yeah.
it was pretty epic. And then I'm just like, can you follow me around and narrate my life? That would totally be okay.
Another thing they cut on that was my narration. of
Oh, yeah,
that.
Oh, okay.
In a world.
Do it. It's pretty good.
I can't now.
Well, I thought it was really funny the little spot that they kind of previewed where he comes up behind you and he's like, "Don't turn around."
Oh,
you know, he
yeah.
does the Lego
I'm
Batman
sorry,
voice. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but that was like the first week too, and he really did scare me. So that was, I don't know if they'll do it, but I did scare him too. So I'm like, I hope they just make these collective things of like all these inside stories that we have.
want more footage.
Yeah.
After cut or what are they extended cut?
Extended.
You guys always
DVD
do
edition.
a really good job of getting at the front of the line when you're coming in.
Okay, we didn't do that at all. They planned that. We were not that.
Oh, okay.
No,
Okay.
I saw the excitement though. I figured that it was like just pure ambition and hunger to win. So
We're the
Yeah, we
clickbait.
pushed
We're the
pushed
clickbait.
everyone out of the way.
yeah,
Move over, Aaron and Christian.
Not okay.
Dun, dun. I want to know who. So you've watched all the episodes, right?
Right.
Okay, good. So who are your favorite, like besides us?
Obviously.
Who are your favorite teams?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I have enjoyed the build quality of his. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to go to my cheat sheet. We're gonna have to edit the hell out of this.
That's okay.
That's okay. I was gonna say we say the bearded builders.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Market Boone.
So I do like the bearded builders,
Market
but I
Boone.
also like. I don't know if I like them personally, but Tyler and Amie, their builds have been.
Why would you say that?
They
Too much kissing.
No, not necessarily. I mean, they're newlyweds. They're entitled to that. You know,
I do like the awkward moments they have with Will.
They do.
I'm like,
yeah,
okay, this is awesome.
They chase him off with PDA quite often,
but
which,
Will encourages it.
yeah,
so.
exactly. It's a double-edged sword.
Instigator.
But I do like. I have enjoyed the quality of some of their builds.
Of course. Yeah, that's what Tyler does for a living. He's a set designer.
And Amie teaches piano and music, so she picks up stuff very quickly.
Very quickly.
Like when in episode 2, when we did the Space Smash, their monster had all these, if you notice, like the same parts. So he could build one and she can replicate very quick. And since she picks up on stuff, she just has that mindset. And
Very good team.
yeah, I mean,
What about you?
You know, I'm trying to remember his name. So the guy that usually has the cop shirt.
Mel and Jermaine.
Mel and Jermaine.
Mel and Jermaine are awesome. I really like those guys. They have really good energy to it, and their builds are just really, really great.
They do great, huge builds, and that's
I love my favorite quote of Mel's so far is y'all love watching a cop struggle with Lego.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm dead because this is true.
Yeah.
That is so true.
and there's a Legor.
Legor.
I want to do it too, but we won't.
Yeah.
So-
That'll be an off-camera thing.
So were you guys? I mean, we can edit the hell out of this if we want to, but how did you guys feel about Travis and Corey going last time?
Everybody has to go home. Someone has to go home each week.
Yeah.
My heart was broken.
And you think you don't care until like that moment, and
Well, it's not just because it's like, oh, they're going home and like, yay, we get to move forward. It's like, oh my God, a friend is leaving our camp. Like,
Yeah.
the summer camp just got smaller. And that is heartbreaking. And honestly, like, we were sad every week. Like,
Yeah.
and everyone on set, it's just the saddest moment because you get so attached to these people because they're your people.
you
Right.
spend so much time with them, and like you don't see like
We go out to eat afterwards.
yeah, we go out to eat. We're spending 24/7 with these people.
Locked in a box.
We see what Fox wants us to see,
Right.
but we
Yeah, you guys
also
have- yeah.
we also I mean I
See
believe
45 minutes of that week.
exactly.
And that first build was 20 people, 10 teams, 15 hours of footage each, on top of judging and
It's a lot of editing.
you were gonna have to get rid
I
of a
feel
lot.
so bad
That's-
for them.
Those editors, wow.
But yeah, but at the same time, I mean, they were a team that we really enjoyed
Yeah.
watching as well.
yeah,
So,
and so it's really neat too, since we all hung out. We had we had some free time, and we actually went with Christian and Travis and Corey, and they had never been. We took them to Disneyland.
Oh, it's
And
awesome.
we made them wear the pins too. It said "my first time," and
and they were so cool about it.
it was.
Christian held our backpacks.
Oh yeah, we're like,
That's funny.
and it was like in between. I'm like, everyone wears sunscreen so we're not burned on set.
Yeah.
and
It was just so awesome to have that moment. Like, and it's the moments like that really made doing the show really worth it for me. Like, the show part was great. I
It's the
absolutely loved
people.
it. It's the friendships that we got to keep afterwards that made it the best experience ever.
and plus never like doubt yourself, because we were like the
Whoa,
first day
yeah.
on set we get there, we're like,
I bet.
Krystle,
We're going
I
home
was
first.
like Krystle, I was like, how did we get here? That's like,
Yeah, because you're looking around at other builds and you're
we're
just
looking
like,
at the build, we're looking at the
That's
set.
intimidating,
We
I'm
didn't know
sure.
there was a set. We didn't know that Will was our host till the first day, and we're like, whoa, this is gonna be a big show. And
That's when it started to freak me out. Yeah.
especially when we got on set and we were like,
Oh, this is a real
oh
set.
yeah, we're like,
This is real.
whoa. I just remember looking at like the doors too, like the slide and open. I was like, whoa, I can't wait to see, like, get back there and see how they work. This is going to be amazing. And then I'm like,
Just like Star Trek.
oh, it's two guys with the Home Depot bucket pushing them back there.
Just
all
like
it
Star
is.
Trek.
I'm like, the movie magic.
So after each episode, did you guys do like a
A big
post wrap
farewell?
up?
Hell-
Well, but after recording, did you and Amie sit down and be like, okay, this is what we learned, and we need to do
You're
this better.
hilarious. We
Yeah.
passed.
We're working
out.
like
Passed
you
out.
probably can't sit, but we were working like 8 hours.
Y'all didn't just sit around in a circle in a smoke-filled room and rag on Mega Blocks? No,
Duplo.
Duplo.
Working like 18 hours.
No, but so like at the end of each episode and someone got sent home, we started making it kind of a tradition. And every Friday we went to Ruby's.
Ruby's milkshake.
Oh God, we gained
So
a lot
good.
of weight for the show for sure. It was like, but it was just such a beautiful bonding moment
Yeah.
because we could walk there from the hotel and we would walk there as like this giant pack, and we would all just sit out there and we had
A punch card for the free milkshake.
And so,
So when people got sent
So we
home.
would all use that one punch card. So when someone got sent home, you would pass it on, and whoever got to stay got to get the free milk.
That's awesome.
That's a cool tradition.
So yeah. So and actually, Amie and I went back for Brixelli, and we're like, let's go.
Yeah, we was like, we
Let's
want to go to the
Burbank.
milkshake.
So we got a milkshake for old time's sake. So I think that will be like a tradition for me anytime I'm ever in Burbank.
Oh, that's great.
So where can we all find you now? Online, at
Hulu.
conventions?
Oh, that.
Yeah.
On the internets.
On
Yeah.
the internets.
Are
the
you
entire
guys going to
internets.
the Dallas Fan Expo coming up next month?
I
think-
don't know.
I think I'm going to Budapest in Serbia for our hacker thing. So,
Wow.
Yes.
I think I'm gone then.
And I will probably be gone as well. What are the dates?
It's I think end of March, somewhere in the 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that it was like on the list.
Okay, yeah, I might be gone as well. If we're
Okay.
here, sure.
Yay! Well, wherever we can see you, and wherever your fans can find you.
And where
that's-
can they find you on Twitter, Instagram?
Oh, I'm on Twitter and Instagram under Amie Double D, AMIE Double D, or Amie DD.
and I'm on Twitter too now because
Yay!
of Amie. So my Twitter is the Krystle Starr.
No, look, she doesn't even know.
Dang it.
Just find me, send
Just
me a
find
thing,
Amy.
and I'll tag us.
Yeah, more likely you'll find each
And I will-
other on
yeah.
it.
But on Instagram, I am Krystle Star Wars, spelled really weird. Krystlestarrwars. But yeah, just message Amie for Twitter.
There we go.
Oh,
and we have
Krystle literally had on her thing, I don't use Twitter. I'm like, Krystle, can you please change this?
Wait.
And then somebody replied in the thing, and you're like, oh my God, all these people are saying that they like don't like our team. I'm like, no, Krystle, they're replying to a thread that's you're not even in. And it's for the Lego Masters thing. It was the best. She was looking at the wrong notification. I was like,
all these people hate us.
I was like, no, they all love us. It was the best. Like, that's how I feel about Instagram sometimes. I was like, so when Instagram stories first came out, I didn't know.
Oh, this is hilarious.
Oh, this is also a Rock moment. So I follow Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, on Instagram. And when the stories first came out, I thought when they showed up at the top of your profile page,
They were
that,
DMs.
that they were like, somebody sent you that. Like,
Yeah.
you, like, hey, Brandon, I'm sending you this. Like,
The Rock was like,
so there was
"Hey,
one on there.
Amy."
Stop. You're embarrassing.
I like that build.
So I had one on the top, and it was from Dwayne Johnson. I was like, oh my God, The Rock just sent me like a thing on Instagram. No, it was definitely public, and it was like everyone could view. But I was so excited.
That's an old lady moment right there. That's when you know you've crossed that threshold and you're like, wow, I'm old.
But that's
Well-
how Krystle is with Twitter. So.
Okay, but also email.
Yeah.
So during the entire filming of Lego Masters,
Krystle does not check her email or have it on her phone.
ever. I do now. I check it once a week.
Well done.
But well done. So for every day they would email the night before, they would email you what would you like for lunch. So
Yeah,
Amie would be like,
I'm like her assistant at this point.
Amie would be like, Krystle, what would you like for lunch? So she would literally
Reply
for me. So I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, because our talent manager Ricardo was like, Krystle, did you reply to the email? She's or no, you said Ricardo.
He said, Krystle, did you reply to the email? I said yes. He goes, I thought you said you didn't use email. Oh yes, Amie verbally. I replied verbally to Amie, who replied to you, and he was just like, oh my God, we love you, Ricardo.
Well, before we wrap up and go here, I have one last question for the both of you.
Okay.
So you lost both of your mothers at a young age, relatively, but your fathers basically are responsible for who you are now.
Mm-hmm.
What do your fathers mean to you?
Literally, like, as much as my dog means to me, everything.
That's pretty high ranking right there. Yeah.
That's how I justify like.
Oh my
I'm
God,
like-
that actually sounds terrible. My dad. Great, I'm good.
Hey, love you, Dad.
But I'm like, that shows I love my dog a lot.
True.
Yeah,
They're-
it's really
they're everything.
Our dads are Mr. Mom. Our dads had to be mom and dad for us. So to me, like we were talking, we're like, it's totally normal to grow up and speak Klingon in your house, right? And what was your reply? I was like, dude, this is
why we're friends.
Yeah, I was like, but it's so neat to see like
our dads love both of us too. It's so funny, like,
and they're so supportive.
We're like, is your dad taking us to the airport? Yep, my dad's picking us up. Like, it's like, it's still,
and they're proud of us too. So it's,
and our dads were the ones who, like, we watched all the sci-fi with them. The other day you were like, they showed us everything in the galaxy. Like, it's so true, because they did, and they are the reason that we read the comics that we read, and they are the reasons that we watch the shows that we watch, and they molded us into the super nerds that we are. And because of their love and kindness, that is why we both choose to give to others as well through different mediums. And our fathers were the ones who instilled that in us, and I think that's why
they're good men.
They really truly are. And I think that's why you know, on the show, people are like, where's more? We want more screen time of you. And I was like, well, it's a reality TV show, and our fathers raised us right, so we don't argue on the TV show ever. And so I think that, you know, it is what it is, and I think that that's a really good thing. So, yeah.
Absolutely. That's
to infinity
and beyond.
Also, every Galaxy Quest. What was the other Galaxy Quest one?
Oh God, you
Oh,
said
God,
the whole time, and the whole time I didn't know
Quest.
it. She was like, I knew what it was, but it's been probably a decade since I watched Galaxy Quest. So when we got home, that was the first movie that we watched together.
Name some Galaxy Quest quotes.
What's the one that the guy says all the time? Like, he says it 10 times in the movie.
Never give up.
Never surrender.
Look, is that copyrighted? Oh, that was
this whole show.
That was
This
also
whole show.
That's why we weren't.
People were asking
Hey.
if any of the stuff was scripted from last week's episode when we were in cosplay,
No.
and I was like, no,
We're
that's
just-
we're just that weird. I'm sorry. Like,
Yep.
I was like, oh God.
Well, y'all's timing is just perfect, and you know.
I was like, that's just obviously you guys have just hung out with us. You know that's like literally just how we are.
Absolutely.
So we were talking. We were like, man, I feel bad for the person who has to edit our 15 hours of footage of each of us, like just quoting random like stuff from Galaxy Quest and Star, like just.
Anytime I didn't want the cameras to film us, I would start singing Harry Potter.
Yeah, she would hum it.
Yeah,
And
because
it's
I knew
also
it
your
wouldn't be
nervous-
used.
that's also your
It's a
nervous
That's
nervous
great.
too.
That's great. That's very smart. Well, Krystle, Amie, it was an absolute pleasure sitting down
Thank you.
talking with both of you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Carl and I had the best time, and we hope all of you
He's speaking
viewers
for you
out
now,
there
Carl.
and listeners had the best time as well. Again, they can check you out where on Twitter and Instagram?
It's under Amie Double D and AmieDD.com.
Krystle Star Wars, KrystleStarWars.
Perfect. Be sure to follow them, and if you like listening to Carl and I blab about just about everything and anything under the sun, whether it's movies, TV, or music, you can check us out at Sensibly Loud Radio. We're streaming on all devices as well as Apple, you name it. But you could follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Sensibly Loud, and check us out on Facebook, Sensibly Loud Media. Check out all of our other podcasts as well. We think you'll like it. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time on Sensibly Loud Radio.